Excellent. Okay. I think we're live. That's what we like to see. Okie dokie, so today we have another round of the Division 2 semi-finals for the Monash E-League. Today we're seeing Team 4WD take on Team Jett. So the first seed from Group A taking on the second seed from Group B. And I'll just let them know that I am ready to get into game and we will get this show on the road. So if we think that Jett's going to win, make sure we put in a hashtag JettWin. And if we think 4WD is going to win, put a hashtag 4WDWin into the chat. And we'll see who the chat favours to win. Jeez. Look at this. Calling for silver scrapes in game 1. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Ah, yeah. Hang on a minute. What's going on here? Mott feed. Oh, Hibto's in the chat. Look at this ghoster right here. Get out of the chat, mate. Come on. None of that. That's poor form. So both teams just getting ready to get ready. I don't know. They'll get ready eventually, and then when they're ready, they'll be ready, and we'll be ready. And now we're into Champion Select. So, what? I haven't seen a lot of 4WD in a while. However, I did manage to play a game against them a while ago, and we do see a Carpus band come out. No surprises there. Jett has been playing it quite a few times throughout the group stage. In addition, we also expect to see a bit of an Ivern ban possibly coming out from 4WD, as Jett have also been running that for a lot of the series here. Both teams play reasonably different styles. Actually, no, I take that back. They play very similar styles. Get my words mixed up. Jett just likes to play around their ADC mainly, as well as their mid laner, in that order. Whereas 4WD likes to take on... likes their mid laner to take on the carry role, and their ADC coming in for a bit of support in that regard. Now, Mott's jungler, Matara, he has the most assists and the highest kill participation of all members of Group B, so we should expect him to pick up something a bit supportive. Maybe if the Ivern isn't banned, it could potentially see some play this game. And there's no Ivern ban coming out of 4WD here. They may decide to first pick it. However, I do not know if their jungler actually does play it.
Happy to set this one
up there. Oh, Ivern ban coming out of Jett here. Obviously, they felt like they were getting baited into an Ivern first pick, and perhaps they did read 4WD. We'll never know, but as we get into the first pick here, unfortunately, I don't know too much about 4WD, but Karma Classic pickup is kind of like the poor man's Lulu, so no surprises there. Very strong champion. In the previous tournament, in which I had the pleasure of playing against the lovely boys from 4WD, they did run a very bot-focused comp. They did pick a lot of Lulu, Twitch, with like Cogmore, those hyper carry late game scaling ADCs. I think they had a bit of Jinx in there as well. So if they're still playing that same style, then we can expect to see a pick like that coming through. Jett here, who knows, they might pick up the Disco Nunu. We don't know. Nunu is a poor man's Ivern after all. But he'll probably likely resort back to the Kha'Zix, which he did pick up in one of the games. He may also go for another meta jungle like Graves, Sejuani. I don't know if they're watching the stream or not, and that is locked in Nunu right there, boys. I don't know if Titus, mate, if you're still in this stream, that's big trouble for you, mate. And we see a Nami coming out. Nami, another good supportive support, not really a damagey support. Kind of like, up there in the tiers. Basically, if you can't get Lulu, you can't get Karma, and you want a shield, Healy sort of support, then Nami is usually the choice. And we can see Jett picking up that support style that they did play in a lot of their group stage games. So we should expect a full tank top laner. Mott has the lowest damage to champs of all top laners in Group B, which is definitely reflective of his more supportive tank style. He also does have a really high amount of assists, I believe the most for top laners in Group B. So, it does really fit in with the style. And we should see maybe hyper late game scaling AD coming out of Get Fat on Sashimi here. And we see an Amumu pick right now. Very ballsy pick, I must say. As you do get up into the higher elos, not that this is super high or anything, but it's still very respectable. Amumu can get counter jungled, and picking it against the Nunu is a pretty disrespectful move, in my opinion. And we see Caitlyn getting picked up by 4WD, very good AD carry. No surprises there, nothing too crazy or out of the meta. Caitlyn very strong late game AD carry, but also has a lot of lane pressure as well, so they might be looking to assert some dominance in that regard in the early game. And we can see the Gragas offer coming out of Mott here, just a full tank classic. There's a lot of disengage coming out of the side of Jett here with the Nami wave and the Gragas cask. And they do decide to actually lock that one in. So then we get to see the final two picks coming out to round out 4WD's comp. And we see Sigma Squared hovering the Gangplank here. Now, that is a pick that he has picked a couple of times, performed reasonably well on it. And so, you can expect some good things out of it. And we can see Thermal hovering the Kassadin here. It does have a reasonably favourable matchup into Orianna. But instead he decides to hover the Yasuo here, maybe playing with me a little bit. I doubt that's going to get locked in, but it could. And we see Echo. Now, Thermal is a big Echo player here, and he does actually decide to lock that one in. It did slip through the ban phase, somewhat surprisingly here. That's a champion you definitely expect to see banned, especially since 4WD does play around their mid laner quite a bit. So perhaps targeting his best champs is probably a good strategy, but Jett decided to go for a different strategy in this one and just ban out general OPs. And so we get to see the ADC counterpick here down in the bot lane. So Jett did decide to leave their ADC for last pick. Questionable decision. If you get red side, generally mid would be a solid pick, especially since Thermal here is one of the major carries of 4WD. And we'll just have to wait to see what they pick. I'm expecting maybe like a Twitch, Cogmore. Lucian is still up, but he doesn't necessarily fit into the comp as well as those auto-attacking AD carries do. And we do see Cogmore getting hovered here. Nothing too surprising about that. I was expecting a hyper late game ADC to come out of that, and we should look to 4WD should look to play around bot lane quite a bit here. They do have the advantage in the early game. Karma Caitlyn is an absolutely disgusting lane to play against, and we should expect to see a lot of dominance coming out in that regard. But Get Fat on Sashimi, Jett, the Jett bot lane in general, should look to just try and farm up, perhaps, let 4WD push towards their tower and perhaps get a freeze just shy of the range, and perhaps get some safe farm with some Nami sustain here while Matara sort of holds up the Amumu's farm and delays him from getting to the late game. In the top lane we have Gragas versus Gangplank. I feel like Gragas might struggle to put a lot of pressure down onto this GP, depending on GP's positioning in the lane. If he positions behind minions, it's going to be very hard for Gragas to get anything done due to Gangplank's ability to farm safely from range. So low kill pressure coming out of there, and especially with the Nunu ganks aren't anything too special, so it's a bit worrying from this if you're on the side of Jett. So that Gangplank may be able to farm up and scale and get out of control. In the mid lane, we do see the Echo into the Orianna. I definitely expect Thermal to get an advantage in this lane. He is a very proficient Echo player, and he's also a very strong player in general. So we should see perhaps Nunu trying to put a bit of focus on the mid lane to perhaps make sure the lane goes either even or in favor of the Orianna here. Orianna did take teleport, perhaps to match the Echo teleport, or just perhaps to help with the laning phase, where so we can see that the team fight comp coming out of Jett here is very late game focused. If they have a chance to stall out the game and farm it up, then we can probably expect Jett to win a lot of these late game team fights just off the merit of the Blood Boil from Nunu, along with the Nami empowered auto attacks. Perhaps look for Nami to get an early Ardent Sensor to speed up that Kog'Maw's ability to put out mad auto attacks. And then the Orianna just coming in with the shield as well, able to get off a lot of damage with that shockwave. And the Gragas is just there to sort of help with the disengage in the early game. So Jett definitely has a lot of tools to be able to stall this game out. They've got decent wave clear coming out of Orianna. And it's really on 4WD here to make a lot of early game plays, which could be a little difficult considering the Amumu pick, as well as the Gangplank pick. But his ultimate global, it's definitely a good way to swing fights in your favor without actually having to be there. But we should see the bot lane and the mid lane of 4WD looking to get an advantage in the early game and perhaps snowball that into something more. Now we see a couple of term wins in the chat. I also do believe in term. They definitely got shafted big time. Like, they were clearly in the group of death, much like TSM at Worlds last year. So yeah, and clearly term could have got out, but it really was just the group of death for them. Sorry, man. I get the message. I can read the chat. Unlike last time, I did struggle. I think it's a bit louder now. Just tell me if it's good now. We'll see in like 30 seconds or whatever the delay is. And we got about 20 seconds till we actually get into the game, so that's good to see. And yeah, so with that, it's sort of just waiting for the game to get in. When we look at other summoner spells, we can see Nami did decide to take Ignite, perhaps to try and offset some of the early trades that would definitely go in favor of 4WD's bot lane. And yeah, we'll have to look at the bot lane and the mid lane are definitely the main focuses of this game. And so we are about to load into the game. I'll wait till we get in and we'll switch over and it'll all look beautiful. So we will actually get into the game. Of course, with the other two games that I casted, we did have a little bit of a freeze in the beginning, but that's nothing to be worried about. Everything will sort itself out in a few seconds. All be good, and the game can get started, and we'll get to see some quality gameplay coming out of these top tier Division 2 teams. As we can see, we've got a super slick new overlay coming out, courtesy of Eric. And yeah, so we'll just get that scoreboard done up, and I'm definitely going to hide the chat this time. I have learned from my mistakes. We will not be having a repeat of the other day. And so we can see just some sort of standard starts. We've got the bot lane going towards the red buff here. We've got jungler going in for a bit of vision out of 4WD. Top lane is going to their right spot. The only interesting thing is perhaps Gragas going down in towards that bot lane, bot side of the map. But you'll probably just end up walking topside, and everyone's just forming a bit of a line of scrimmage. Doesn't seem like anything special is going to happen in the early game. Whether that's unfortunate or skillful gameplay is up to you guys to decide. Stream keeps jittering. Oh, that's not good. Or maybe it's just the gameplay, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not sure how I can fix that up at the moment. I'd probably have to stop the stream to do that, so unfortunately we'll just have to live with it for at least this game. And I might just close it down real quick and get back into it for the next game. But yeah, it's all just a bit of a waiting. It's the waiting game. Everyone's playing a bit of a slow game, and we do see Pugmore coming out in the bot lane, one of the more fabulous skins available. And so we can see a bit of a early pushing of the wave from the Echo here. Definitely a standard strategy for Echo to push in those first few waves, as it is a bit hard to farm with Echo when you're trapped under tower. And he does manage to get quite a few, and we can just see Nunu soloing his buff here. So, and the bot lane actually of Jett waited around, not sure why. They probably could have just gone a lane, maybe just to give away that, or maybe to not give away that Nunu was starting at a specific side of the map. But we can see a very nice ward coming out of Thermal here. He does place one inside the red buff jungle of Jett, so they will see when Nunu goes past there. That's a very good suggestion coming out of the chat here to reorder the scoreboard, and I will get right onto that. And everything seems to be in order from here. Can't believe I forgot to do that. But yeah, so we can see bot lane, you know, Caitlyn, Karma pushing in the wave. Nothing out of the ordinary here, as expected. We can see traps being placed down on the tower. Classic Caitlyn strategy to assert a bit of lane dominance. And we can see both junglers just doing a bit of standard start, killing in both their buffs. No aggressive Nunu invades at the time, or for the time being, I should say. And we can see Echo going in for a big early game trade, unable to proc the passive. And we get a bit of freeze here. Don't worry, that's not the stream quality there, that's just the game freezing. And we can see a bit of dominance being set, a bit of early game trading coming out here, but we can see that definitely 4WD got the better of that trade, with more damage going down on the ADC, as opposed to the damage going down onto the support. So it's definitely, 4WD are probably pretty happy to take that trade. Trading support health for AD carry health is definitely a positive for them. And then we can see just, you know, a bit of lane dominance trap being stepped on by Nami, the headshot able to follow up, and Kog'Maw also stepping on. Unfortunately, the combo misses out of Inamikas here. But we can see dominance just starting to be asserted. In the mid lane, we can see a bit of a CS gap beginning, as well as in the top lane here. We can see Gangplank just farming up, but it's pretty close. It's closed almost instantly, as I pointed out, by Gragas here, and he should be able to catch up, definitely with the size of that wave that's approaching him at the moment. So, 4WD do have a ward on that wolf camp, able to spot the Nunu out, so they know where he is. Mumu's safe to farm in his own jungle. They know that there's no pressure of a Nunu invade here. So he's just going to go and take his golems. We can see a 5 CS advantage already coming out for the ADC of 4WD here. And we just eagerly await to see if any trades or skirmishes or any shenanigans go on, really. And the empowered Q from Karma here actually does miss, so that's a decent amount of mana, decent amount of damage gone from Karma's combo for a little while. And we can see just a bit of a trade coming out. Oh, and the Nunu gang comes in. This could possibly be first blood here, and the bubble lands, and we've got definitely some flash forwards, and Kog'Maw getting first blood. Very, very good for Jett bot lane here. That should be able to give him a good enough advantage. Kog'Maw should be able to catch up in CS and perhaps survive laning phase a little bit better. Very nice first blood. Very good punish of the over-aggression coming out of the 4WD bot lane here. We can see a bit of trade happening in the top lane, and Gangplank, you've got no mana, dude. You can't do anything. And he just eats his oranges, and he's K, and he backs off. And so the Jett will let Sigma Squared back here. Perhaps this is a one-off thing, but he can't really follow up the Gragas here. He doesn't have much in the way of mana himself. But yeah, definitely a bit of a trade. And we can see that Kog'Maw is actually using those Nami autos massively, and over half HP gone from Inamikas here. Very favourable trade, and Kog'Maw definitely wanting to take that one. And in the top lane, we can see Gragas did use his teleport to get back to the lane. Or Gangplank, rather. And we should expect a similar thing coming out of Gragas. Yep, as we can see, he is teleporting back into the top lane. And we can see that the CS lead in the bottom lane has actually evened out. Cogmore definitely using that first kill pressure to his advantage to keep himself up in the lane. And for WD, it's a big mistake. It's costing this lane dearly. But this is a Caitlyn Karma lane, so they definitely do have the potential to turn it back around in their favour. And 4WD definitely learning from this, placing down some wards in the river to perhaps prevent another Nunu gank. Now we can see Nunu heading towards the top side. It's a bit difficult to get anything done, I imagine, unless they go for a tower dive, which it looks like they might. But then the Nunu is spotted out by the Rift Scuttle, so that's not going to be happening. Stream is apparently jittering quite a bit. I'm sorry about that, guys. Without stopping the stream, I don't know how to fix it. Not sure whether you guys would rather a light break in the activity or not. And we can see the flash traded. Mumu trading his flash for the Orianna flash. Definitely a good trade in favour of 4WD here. And we can see the bubble actually misses in this bot lane trade. So nothing's going to happen. Just going to be AD carries getting low and supports losing mana. So we can see a lot of pressure now coming out of this Cogmore. He definitely has a lot more freedom due to that first blood, but he hasn't actually spent the gold. So the bot lane of 4WD here playing perhaps a bit more safe than they should here in this matchup, seeing as though the Cogmore hasn't had time to spend his gold, but he is going back now, so he will be able to pick up perhaps a cutlass or a recurve bow. And we can see the Cutlass coming out, which will give him a bit more sustain, so he will definitely be able to sit in lane for a lot longer than he was able to before. We can see mid lane pretty even in CS, same deal in top lane, and jungle very similar as well. But the bot lane recall from Cogmore, giving Caitlyn a temporary 10 CS lead, 11 CS lead to be exact. And we'll have to see whether that CS lead is actually able to be recovered when the two bot laners return to their lane. So we can see that Jett have placed a ward on the blue buff of 4WD here, so they will be able to spot out when the Amumu does decide to go for that blue, and they do know that it's up, and they may try to contest it perhaps, and they'll definitely be able to spot it out, but they're definitely looking to avoid it. And so a defensive ward being placed from Amumu here. He does seem to believe that Nunu could come in for an aggressive invade, but nothing really happens as Nunu decides to just go for his red buff instead. And the CS lead in the bot lane is about even now, and we can see a bit of a trade coming out, but Cogmore does actually step on a trap, which gives a free headshot and mantra Q to the bot lane of 4WD, putting him reasonably low and definitely losing out on that trade big time. And we're zooming around here, and it looks like Caitlyn is definitely going to get a reasonably big advantage off this. About 11 CS lead, or perhaps not. He does miss a few minions on that. And we can see the pink ward being cleared out by Gangplank here. Really, it's just standard laning for the time being. Nothing too special is happening. Both teams are dead even on gold at the moment, which can definitely be explained a bit by the farm differential in the mid and bot lane. Slight as it may be, is definitely enough to make up the 400 gold first blood difference. And we can see a bit of a trade coming out. Cogmore going to about half HP, and same thing happening in the mid lane to the Orianna. 4WD going aggressive at the same time. Both lanes going aggressive. Nunu just farming up camps at the moment, unable to do anything about it. Top lane just doing top lane things. And we can see Gragas going a bit aggressively, but the body slam hits minions, so nothing's going to happen here. No follow-up for the Gragas after that misses. And we settle down a bit. Now we can see Echo going for a roam towards the bottom side, but he is spotted out by multiple wards from Jett here, so nothing's going to come of it. And we can see a few plants being used to spot out some wards. And 4WD, they know the pink ward's in that bush there, but they're unable to go for it for fear of being contested. So I'll stop the stream just for a little bit, and I'll see if I can lower the bitrate, perhaps lower the downscaling a little bit. So the quality will be a bit worse, but it should be smoother. So we'll see how that goes.